For those of you joining me for the very first time, it's me just responding to various questions and comments I get on various different videos. I never censor my comments. Always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastic, whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree. Always say your piece. Today's date is the 16th of January, 2016. Let's jump into this. Lots of peppermints. Whatever. You need to start having children. You can't fight an enemy within if they outnumber you. And take your kids out of those indoctrination stations called schools, and homeschool them. Stop supporting the poison. Stutter. Holy jeez. In Canada, homeschooling, I know last year was on the rise. I think what's Trump's appointee, Farina, whatever her name is. I think she's going to be attacking the Common Core there down in the States. Now, Common Core, I don't know what they're calling it here, but it's all United Nations indoctrination. Now, if you look at United Nations Agenda 2030, the indoctrination that they're talking about in there is just, it's insanity. Like, Agenda 21 was crazy, but this is like beyond that. Like, it's just, every second line is gender parity, transgender this, transgender that. Now, Black Pigeon Speaks just did something really interesting about gender dysphoria. And how's the way that it was put, but basically that it's to the point where you can't question it. But there was a researcher who obviously lost his job. This guy was a renowned doctor, saying that some of this transgenderism might be a form of autism. And I know there's rumors that autism might actually form in the stomach. Now, the Irish have just discovered a new organ in the in the human body, and it's in your lower intestine, and it's like a white line. They don't know what it does yet. But it's a new organ in our body. Can you imagine that? In this day and age, we're still discovering new body parts. Fascinating, right? So autism, nobody really knows the causes of it 100%. There's a lot, and people who have to live with autistic children and stuff, autistic adults and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many different levels of, like, slightly autistic to, Rain Man, right? But they believe that with autistic kids, like, you'll get an autistic kid that you can't communicate with at all. But then, maybe like a puzzle or a Rubik's Cube, you put a Rubik's Cube in 3.8 seconds, not even look at it. It's just, they pick up like a really obsessive on one issue type of thing. And they become extreme astronauts. I remember there was this autistic guy, kid that I went to school with, and baseball cards. Every baseball card's ranging back from the first baseball card ever to now. He knew everything about it. You could say, and other people do that. And you'd say the kid's name, whatever. Can't remember the kid's name, but you know that baseball card? It was in the year 1923. It was from the Pittsburgh guys. It was the guy, the pitcher. Who was the pitcher? What did he? And he'd give you everything, like, from the guy's birth to his death to everything. Every single baseball player. It was incredible. Like, it was like, it's like, now if we could get that guy to help us cheat on a test, it would have been great. Yeah. We had our clever way of cheating. You get your buddy to sit in front of you. You write on the bottom of his shoe, and he just leaves his shoe up like that. And then, you do it for your buddy. The other one was that your pencil, marking the answers in the pencil, but just indented so that you have to look at it in the light. So if the teacher walked by, they'd still see the yellow paint on the pencil. You'd see all the indentations. It was hard to do, all the answers of the test. But, yeah. Cheating gets you nowhere. That's such a lie. It is such a lie. But when you get caught, it backfires bad. But, yeah, so you got a possibility that transgenderism is a form of autism, that it might be linked to it. I'm not saying it is, but it might be. But the fact that we can't research it or question it, that's where the problem comes in. And it comes in with the education system of cultural Marxism, which I think people are rejecting. And even here in Canada, there was some people talking about the gay indoctrination in the schools. And of course, the media will come out as, oh my God, these horrible people are like, oh, the human rights. They don't understand human rights. It's not about human rights. It's clearly indoctrinated. There's no reason to be teaching kids anal sex. 5-year-olds don't need to know that. The hypersexualization of children. And if you haven't seen that National Geographic cover that just came out, leave the children alone. That child is damaged. That child is going to be damaged for life. So, we live in a society where this degeneracy could be medical. Again, it gives more validity to gender dysphoria. Now, if you didn't catch Alex Jones, and Sargon Avocad was on Alex Jones in voice form only, and it was, I don't know, I never seen the video done. I don't know where Sargon posted this video, or maybe he was doing a commentary or whatever. But Alex Jones talking about the gay frogs. You know, the water's turning the frogs gay. We all the estrogen in the water. Now, it turns out Alex Jones is right. Now, does he blow it out of proportion? Well, in this case, not really. I forget what the tandrolazine, whatever chemical it was that turns the frogs gay. And it doesn't only turn them gay, but it makes them have with frogs, because they can actually, if you have all male frogs in a pond, they can actually morph into, they can actually change their sex. Frogs can change their sex. I think it's the only species that I know of that can do that. But this chemical turns these masculine frogs completely gay, but strangely enough, it just messes these frogs up. And I'm wondering, that could be, I mean, if you look at transgenderism, now, mind you, in Middle Eastern countries, you have the barrier of Islam and Sharia law that will never allow a transgender to ever come out into the open daylight, or to be hanging from a crane, or tossed off a building, or stoned to death, or beheaded, or whatever. So, okay, there. But other countries where, non-Western countries where nobody would give a shit, like, for example, in some Asian countries, the amount of homosexuals is like, I'm not saying all Asians are homosexuals, but like there's a lot of that stuff. And like, again, it's not really shunned in society. But it's also in Asian countries, I think, where the male population is so disproportionate to the female population. I think it's just, and you see this in prison populations where, it's like the frogs it turns the frogs gay. Where you get these guys, they go into, you saw it with Bradley Manning. He turns into a transgender when he goes into prison. Where guys will actually morph into women while they're in prison. Like they'll I guess the isolation just turns them into thinking that they're, acting in, they either turn gay or they turn, I don't know, maybe it's the isolation, the loss of human contact. I don't know. But it is something that shows, and then when they get out, they turn straight again. That type of thing. I think it's definitely something psychological, obviously. I mean, stress of being in prison or whatever, so maybe it's a form of submission in the prison population that, well, if I pretend I'm a girl, they won't hurt me or something. I don't know. It could be anything. That said, the transgender, I think most of the transgenders we see, especially in the children, they're taught that. I think it is so small in the population that the rate we're seeing it at, it's not because, people can come out now. No, I think it has more to do with it's engineered, which is damaging, is child abuse, number one. But the other one is that we have it so that you can't question it, and if we can't question it, we can't help to remedy it. And the reason why that scientist or that doctor was fired was because he was trying to help to fix them. Oh, you can't fix gays or transgenders. Now, what happens to transgenders? Well, even after the operation, 41% of them still usually attempt to commit suicide after. Some of them, they will turn gay, but a lot of them aren't. That's the strange thing about it. But I wonder if the chemical imbalance possibly, or the autism angle of it, whatever angle you want to take on it, if it's not brought on by stuff, the fluoride in the water, I don't have fluoride in my water. I've got, probably got uranium in my water, but no fluoride. I mean, we got a deep well 300 feet down. It's not city water. There's no chlorine in there. There's no that. And I do notice when I go visit my sister, for example, and I drink some of the tap water, I can smell the chlorine as soon as the tap turns on. I'm like, wow. That can explain the depression. That can explain. We got toxic levels in our bodies. Of chemicals. Fluoride is it says if you swallow one drop off the toothpaste tube, call a doctor. You know what I mean? And then you're brushing your teeth with that. And then they're putting that in the water. So, and the links between, like, fluoride is a harsh chemical. It's a deadly chemical. So that plus all the other stuff, birth control, there's a whole rabbit hole to go down there. I wonder if that's what it's linked to. But the other part of it is I think the main staple of it is the social engineering, is I guess what I'm getting at. So I think the best way around it is, yes, homeschooling. And the second best way around it is, again, we brave men have to pave the dangerous road for others to safely walk down. To me, I don't care if I'm ridiculed because, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have the same skin in the game or dog in the fight that other people have. Where, like, for example, somebody like Mel Gibson, you know what I mean? Like what happened to him when he spoke out about, on his feeling. Name me an actor that doesn't say something bizarre, crazy, or whatever. It's always okay, like, for example, Rosie O'Donnell, I just did a video on it from the making of this video, about how she's calling for martial law to basically overthrow the president in a coup. Nobody's bashing her for saying that crazy, but Mel Gibson, oh, yeah. Or imagine somebody speaking out against transgenders. Oh, my God. It's like the most taboo things that you could possibly think of are not taboo, but speaking out against them is. And the big push right now is legalizing pedophilia, buttering people up for that. What do you call it? And I hate, it's just, it drives me nuts. Rocking Mr. E did and even you could tell he's disturbed by covering this. But it's such an important issue where the virtuous pedophile and stuff, the Salon magazine stuff, like it's just, passing it off that it's just another sexual preference. So where do we fight back on this, guys? Like, when do we step up to the plate and say enough's enough? You know what I mean? Oh, well, they might call us a name or we might lose our job. Well, yeah, that's going to suck losing your job. But think about the reward at the end of it. Restore society, men and women start having kids again. Their boys can be boys, girls can be girls. Glorious. Or we cater to the crazies. Let the insane run the asylum. You choose. You choose. Anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself, be true to others. And just one last thing. If you are transgender and you are watching this, I don't hate you. I would rather to see you get the proper treatment. Wouldn't you want to know, last thing, wouldn't you want to know if there could be a way to help you, cure you? I mean, think of the misery you're going through. I mean, and then if you're still going to go with the transgender thing, I mean, that's knock yourself out. Just as long as it doesn't cost us for your operation. Pay for that shit yourself. But what I'm saying is I don't hate these people. I think they're mentally ill, and if it's linked to autism, I think more research is needed, and maybe, just maybe, we could help a lot more people. But I think therapy is the number one. And who do you think is looking out more for your best interest? The person that is willing to question your issue, or the people that say, don't dare question the issue? Who do you think is really trying to help you? Again, it's like a heroin addict. I get it. The heroin addict is not going to, they're not going to like you trying to get them away from their fix. Transgenders, I think, have the same issue. It's, you're out to get me. No, I'm trying to help you. It's the best I can do. Because you clearly can't help yourself. And think about all the harmful chemicals that the pharmaceutical companies are putting into you. Allowing you're a human guinea pig. These hormone treatments are very, 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 very deadly. Just last little thing, again, I talk about that guy from Chile that I went to school with. The doctors, they took a year or something to decide whether they were going to give him just little bits of growth hormone. They're like, it has all kinds of side effects and whatever. So they gave him a little bit. And he shot up a bit, but, he only gained an inch or two or whatever. He was a short little guy. Funny as hell. He was funny as hell. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was, but I remember him telling us. He goes, you want to know how I learned how to dance? We go, how? He goes, in Chile we had this big earthquake, and it was shaking, and I was like, oh yeah. And it was nonstop. It was just, oh yeah, good times. But anyway, you get the idea. So, all right. So, be true to yourselves, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. Q&A, whatever it is. For those of you joining me for the very first time, it's me just responding to various questions, comments I get on various different videos. I never censor my comments. Always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastic. Whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, always say your piece. Today's date is the 16th of January, 2016. Let's jump into this. Lots of peppermints. What are good. You need to start having children. You can't fight an enemy within if they outnumber you. And take your kids out of those indoctrination stations called schools, and homeschool them. Stop supporting the poison. Stutter. All these. in Canada, homeschooling, I know last year was on the rise. I think what's Trump's appointee, Farina, whatever her name is. I think she's going to be attacking the Common Core there down in the States. Now, Common Core, I don't know what they're calling it here, but it's all United Nations indoctrination. Now, if you look at United Nations Agenda 2030, the indoctrination that they're talking about in there is just, it's insanity. Like, Agenda 21 was crazy, but this is like beyond that. Like, it's just, every second line is gender parity, transgender this, transgender that. Now, Black Pigeon Speaks just did something really interesting about gender dysphoria and how's the way that it was put, but basically that it's to the point where you can't question it. But there was a researcher who obviously lost his job. This guy was a renowned doctor, saying that some of this transgenderism might be a form of autism. And I know there's rumors that autism might actually form in the stomach. Now, the Irish have just discovered a new organ in the in the human body, sorry. And it's in your lower intestine, and it's like a white line. They don't know what it does yet. But it's a new organ in our